group of ESL Pro League that went as nobody expected, and some drama involving s1mple, the best player in the world, means we have plenty to talk to you about on this week's episode of HLTV Peek. My name is Kinguin. This is the news. Let's get rocking. ESL Pro League has continued over the past week with plenty of shots and upsets in a group that saw some of the favourites like Astralis and ENCE miss out on playoff qualification. maLek were one of those teams who upset the odds by qualifying from the group in first place, taking wins over ENCE, Heroic, Complexity and Heat as they marched confidently through to the playoffs. Frozen was the man of the moment for maLek, posting an impressive 1.28 rating over 12 maps in their successful group campaign. It seems like the switch BMAS for exertion might be starting to pay off. Heroic grabbed second place in the group, recovering from an opening loss to maLek to sweep the rest of the games in their group, securing qualification with a 2-1 victory over their Danish rivals Astralis in what was one of the best series of the event so far. The carrying was spread pretty evenly across the Heroic squad, but it was SKADE and ENCE who stood out, posting 1.19 ratings over 12 maps across the group stage. The final qualification spot went to Complexity, who continued their recent rise to form since adding Halzerk in for Junior by taking wins over Astralis, Heat and ENCE to upset the apple cart and qualify for the playoffs. It was Grim who was the man of the hour for the NA squad, his 1.15 rating comfortably the best amongst his team. Remember, the final group of ESL Pro League Group D will be going on this week, and head over to HLTV.org to stay up to date with everything going on. Something a little bit more fun concluded this week with the end of the $50,000 Kinguin Legends tournament. This tournament brought together legends of the game like Neo, Pasha Biceps, KennyS and Edward to compete for glory. It wasn't just the old men of the game completing, as players like Borosh and s1mple also made appearances at the event. Despite it being an event that was more for fun than anything else, there was still some drama to come out of the final. Edward's team were forced to look for 2 substitutions as 2 of their players were unable to play. Luckily for Edward, the best player in the world was looking to get involved, and so s1mple and SDY answered the call and bolstered Edward's ranks for the final. My man Edward really wanted to secure that bag. Whilst it seemed like these changes would make Edward's team an absolute certainty to win that final, Borosh played like a man possessed for Michael team, and they secured victory in that final against the odds. The drama came after the closely fought match, with Woro2k posting a tweet about s1mple's conduct during the game, stating that he was crying and doing nothing in the loss. Brave move to call out the best player in the world. s1mple was not about to let these accusations go unanswered, and the players went back and forth on Twitter, with s1mple accusing Woro2k of not giving info and being a stupid player, while Woro2k accused s1mple of talking shit or crying at his teammates during the games. Regardless of who's right or wrong in this scenario, it's probably not the best idea to air everyone's dirty laundry on social media. Having said that, are you team s1mple or team Woro2k? Some exciting news about the IEM Rio Major broke this week, with ESL answering the community's call and expanding ticket sales to include all 3 stages of the major. This news comes after the initial sale of tickets sold out within the hour, after many fans had kept their seats from the original ESL Rio Major, which was cancelled in 2020. Fair play to ESL, they stepped up to the plate and provided, expanding ticket sales to cover the Challengers and Legends stage of the Major, which will take place in the Rio Centro Convention Center. Let us know in the comments what you guys are expecting from the IEM Rio Major. In other event news, fnatic failed to capitalise on a good showing at ESL Pro League, crashing out of the Gamers X EU Champions event and thus failing to qualify for the Blast Fall Showdown. Blast host one of the biggest and most important tournament circuits in CSGO, but there are very limited opportunities to qualify, making this loss a particularly painful one for fnatic. The European squad were the highest ranked team and by far favourites to progress through the event. However, group stage weakness in the form of a loss to LDLC carried over into the playoffs, where they were eliminated 1-2 by Sangal in the semi-final stage. Sangal, current temporary home of Nip Orpa Fuzi, carried over their own excellent form into the final, where they comfortably swept aside LDLC 2-0 to secure that Blast Fall Showdown spot. Rest in peace, fnatic. Next up, we have the transfer news, and we start with SKADE, who have parted ways with their Bulgarian roster after failing to come to an agreement on contract extensions. Entropic have placed Elian on the bench by mutual consent, with the squad having failed to kick on since adding Mur in June. Previously considered a prodigy and touted to grace HLTV's top 20 one day, Elian has struggled for form in 2022, seeing his average rating drop to 1.10 when compared to 1.22 last year. Currently, Sensei, who played for Akuma during that third place finish at Epic League CIS 2021, is standing in on Entropic in place of Elian. Ex-G2 coach maLek is back with EG, almost 4 months after being moved to an inactive role following a poor start to the year as their coach. He will be transitioning to a strategic coach role with the organisation, where he will be working with all 4 of EG's current lineups. Sorry, it's kind of hard to keep track with EG. And Indonesian Orpa Xcura has retired from professional CSGO, the 24-year-old following in his younger brother's footsteps and moving on to Valorant. Xcura was one of the best Asian CSGO players, and he rose to prominence playing for Tyloo in 2018 and 2019, during which time he produced some very memorable highlight clips. A player of his stature moving to Valorant is another blow for the Asian scene, which has been lamenting a lack of support for some time now. Everyone's favourite topic was back in the news this week, and of course I'm talking about ESIC. No? Well, I tried to make it exciting. In short, ESIC have lifted the suspension of Spirit's coach Hallie, who was punished 4 months ago for use of the static version of the infamous coaching bug. Hallie's lawyer, Dejan Minic, stated that he had appealed the decision of ESIC on July the 1st, and seeing as now the suspension has been lifted almost a month early, it seems like ESIC exercised some leniency. Although in classic does anyone actually know what they're doing fashion, ESIC decided not to comment on the story. Classic ESIC. Remember everybody, if you want to keep up to date with everything going on in competitive CSGO, head over to HLTV.org. A fun piece of content we released recently matched Academy players with their Tier 1 doppelgangers. A link to that one can be found in the description. Thank you for watching everybody, and remember to repeat in a week for another episode. Until then, bye for now.